Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending our very first meeting. Let me introduce myself as the facilitator and our speaker for today. My name is Dinar. Afika will be our first speaker, Anis is the second, and Nadira will be the third. Today, we gathered to discuss a pressing issue that affects the lives and futures of expensive housing and its impact on the financial stability of young adults in Selangor. Through, through this podcast, we hope to raise awareness, spark conversation, and provide practical solutions. So let's now go over our agenda. Let's begin with an overview of our project. I'd like to invite Fitri Afika to present our main direction.
Thank you, Dinar. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will discussing an important issue affecting many young adults in Malaysia, particularly in urban areas like Selangor, which is the impact of expensive housing on young adults' financial stability. Let's begin with a brief overview of the situation. Selangor is one of the most developed states in Malaysia due to the due to rapid urbanization and economic growth. Housing prices, especially in cities like Petaling Jaya, Shah Alam, and Subang Jaya, have risen significantly. For many young adults, just entering the workforce, owning a home has become increasingly challenging. According to the National Property Information Center, which is NAPIC, the median house price in Selangor is about 500,000 ringgit. Meanwhile, the average income of young working adults is around 3,000 to 4,500 per month, far from enough to afford a house comfortably. There are several key impacts of expensive housing on young adult financial well-being. Firstly, increased debt, which is many young adults take on long-term housing loans, leaving little room for savings. Second, delay life goals. For example, marriage, starting a family, or further studies are often postponed. Secondly, thirdly, mental stress, which is financial pressure affects emotional well-being and productivity. And lastly, limited economic mobility, which is less ability to invest or start business. Some of the major reasons housing is expensive in Selangor include limited land in prime areas, speculative investment in property, thirdly, high development costs, and lastly, lack of affordable housing policies that match current income levels. So why these issues matter? Because if if left unaddressed, this could result in a generation burdened by debt and unable to contribute effectively to national growth. It is not just a personal issue, but a socio-economic challenge requiring collective solutions. In summary, expensive housing in Selangor is a serious issue that threatens young adult financial stability. To ensure a sustainable future, we need collaboration between policymakers, developers, and the public to provide for more affordable housing options.
Thank you, Afika. Now, I would like to invite Anis Farhana to walk us through the project overview.
Thank you, Shabna. I feel truly honored to be part of that highlight issue generation. Let's dive into the specifics of our campaign. Today, I'll be sharing with you about the goals and also the scope of the project. Nowadays, when we talk about the impact of expensive housing on young adults, it's not just about them having to delay buying a house, it's deeper than that. Financial instability caused by high property prices often leads to prolonged rental periods, delayed marriage, and also emotional stress. As parents, many of us may not fully realize how this crisis is shaping not just their finance but also their life decisions. And that's why this campaign is timely. Obviously, our goals for this campaign are threefold. Firstly, we aim to raise awareness about the unaffordability of housing and how it directly affects the financial well-being of our children and also the future generations. Secondly, we want to share useful information on existing support services such as financial literacy workshops, rent-to-own programs, housing subsidies, and also advisory channels that both parents and young adults can benefit from. The third is the most important from our role here, which is we hope to encourage more collaborative financial planning between parents and also their children. We believe that the honest conversations at home can shape smarter and long-term financial decisions together. The scope of our project targets two main groups, which is the young working adults aged 22 to 35 years old, residing in urban and semi-urban areas of Selangor, and parents who are actively involved in guiding or supporting their children's financial decisions. These two demographics represents both the individual directly impacted by housing affordability and also those who plays a significant role. On the other hand, to ensure that our message effectively reach this audience, we ought to identify platforms and channels to be utilized. Utilize digital platforms such as Instagrams, YouTube podcasts, and TikTok for youth engagement, while also using Facebook, webinars, and forums for parents-based outreach. On the other hand, community radio and short video explainers will also be part of our outreach tools. This multi-channel approach is designed to foster meaningful engagement across different segments of society. For more, I would like to pass this meeting to Nadira to share the objectives of this campaign.
Thank you, Anis, for that detailed overview. Now, I would like to take you through the core objective of our campaign, the key message we aim to communicate, and the outcome we hope to achieve by the end of this project. Let's start with the objective. Our objectives are twofold. First, we want to raise awareness about how expensive housing directly affects the financial stability of young adults in Selangor. It's not just about buying a house, it's about being able to afford rent, save money, avoid unnecessary debt, and still have a life. Second, we aim to promote financial literacy by providing young adults and their parents with tools and resources through workshops, digital campaigns, and community outreach. This includes guidance on budgeting planning and understanding support options such as government schemes and rent-to-own programs. From our objective, we have two key messages that we would like to deliver in this campaign. One, housing affordability is not just a real estate issue, it's a financial well-being issue. When housing costs rise but income levels remain stagnant, young people are forced to sacrifice savings, delay personal milestones, and take on unnecessary debt. Two, yearly financial planning and open communication, especially between young adults and their families, can reduce the pressure. When we talk about money, honestly and plan together, the dream of owning a home becomes more realistic and less stressful. Driving from these two key messages, we have two desired outcomes for this campaign. First, we want young adults to become more informed and confident when making financial decisions related to housing, whether they are planning to rent, buy, or just figuring out where to begin. Second, we hope to foster more collaborative financial planning between parents and children. These open conversations can lead to better decisions, shared understanding, and stronger support systems within families. At the end of the day, housing should not be a burden, it should be a foundation for a better life. By understanding the challenges and working together, we believe that young adults in Selangor can move from uncertainty to stability. for a discussion on the strategies of this campaign, I will pass the discussion to Dinar.
Okay, thank you, Nadira. To make a real impact, our campaign must reach the right people in the right ways. So one of strategies that we can include is website creation. Okay, one of the first steps we can take is to build a dedicated website. This will serve as a central hub where young adults can access financial planning tools, budgeting guides, and real-life success stories. For example, we could include downloadable budget templates and personal testimonies from individuals who managed to overcome housing-related financial struggles. The website can also host blog articles and facts about navigating housing costs and rental options in urban Selangor. Second, campaigns. Another strategy we can use is a social media campaign. Since most young adults are active online, we can use platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter to share financial tips, short videos, and real stories about housing struggles. This way, we can spread awareness in a more engaging and relatable way. And the last one, community engagement, such as host town halls, panel talks, and parent young adults forums in a local communities. So that's all from that's all for strategies. And now, first of all, I would like thank you, Afika, Nadira, and Anis for your insightful presentations. Now we will open the floor for questions, suggestions, and clarifications. Feel free to share your thoughts or raise any points that need further discussion. To start the discussion, we will ask a few questions to our speakers.
So, my questions is regarding about the social media, which is how will we ensure that our message reach young adults who are not active on social media?
Great question, Afika. While social media is one of our main platforms, we will also collaborate with community centers, college and workplace to distribute printed materials and host on-site workshops. Local radio stations and town hall sessions Local radio stations and town hall sessions will also help us reach offline audience. Okay, so that's all from me. So I have the next question to Anis. What if people feel discouraged because they believe owning a home is impossible?
That is a valid concern. One of our key goals is to give hope through education by introducing alternatives like rent to own schemes, co-living options, and also government incentives. Through this, we can show young adults that there are still achievable pathways through financial security and also home ownership. So I also do have a question for Afika, if you don't mind. Afika, what is the elements could we include to keep the podcast engaging across all episodes?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Anis. That is very interesting questions. So my answer is we could vary the formats a bit like some episode could be interview, other panels discussions, and some live audience sessions. Maybe we can add a Q&A segment at the end in every our podcast. It can boost our interaction with the viewers. That's from
So
me.
thank you for your thoughtful questions and contributions. If there are many more questions after the meeting, feel free to send them via our or bring them up in our Monday meeting. So let's now proceed to the next part of the meeting. Is our next steps and action items. Okay. So now we move to what comes next, as a team, we'll be running this project from 1st June to 31, 31 December 2025, and we will divide it into phases. In June, we will be laying the foundation by finalizing the podcast structure, setting up branding, and confirming our first guest. Everyone will be involved in shaping the content. From July from July to October, we will record and release episode weekly. We will assign roles like editing, social media, and guest coordination to keep everything smooth and on schedule. Then in November and December, we will focus on collecting feedback and preparing our final report, which may include key stats like listener cons, most engaging topics, and online reach. So here's the breakdown of roles. Anis will be our project manager. Afika will be our content coordinator, and Nadira will be our guest coordinator. So we move to phase one, which is planning. 1st June until 31 June 2025. First, we will develop and finalize the podcast structure and content plan. This task will be handled by our project manager, Anis, and the deadline is 15 June 2025. Next, we need to plan the key themes and outline the episode topics. And this will be the responsibility of Afika, our content coordinator, and the deadline is 20 June 2025. And lastly, we must confirm the first few podcast guests. Nadira is our guest coordinator will take charge of this, and the deadline is 31 June 2025. Now we move to phase 2, which is production, July until October 2025. Okay, we will begin weekly episode recordings and coordinate the editing schedule. This will be managed by Anis with a recurring deadline every Friday. Now, for each episode, we also need to ensure that the content aligns with our themes and prepare discussions materials. This will be Afika's responsibility and should be complete before each episode is recorded. In addition, Nadira will coordinate and confirm guest appearances for each episode. And the deadline for this task is 1 week before each recording session. And now, the last one, we move to our last phase, which is wrap up November until December 2025. Okay, to close the project, Anis, we collect feedback and compile the final project report due by 12 December 2025. Then Afika will reflect on audience response and evaluate how effective our content was with a deadline of 15 December 2025. And lastly, Nadira will gather feedback from both guests and team members, and this task should be complete by 20 December 2025. Now that's all for our next step. And now let's all commit to our roles and work closely with one another, including myself, to make sure things stay on track. So before we finish up, just want to say a big thank you to everyone for all the ideas and good vibes. This is not just another class project, but it's our shot to bring attention to something that really matters. So let's keep hyping each other up, stay on track, and make something awesome together. Can't wait to see what we can read, and let's go make it happen. Thank you, everyone.